Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Teacher Nerds Podcast. I'm Ron Nober.
I'm Joe DiPaolo.
I'm a technology teacher for 3rd grade to 8th grade.
And I'm a 3rd grade teacher.
All right, Joe. So Rewire 19 Part 2.
Yeah, it's like Rewire2 Part 2,
yeah.
Session 2.
We spent almost the whole time last time talking about Dr. Jennifer Williams.
Well, we figure with 2 sessions, there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, and I know her book is coming out. I think you can order it now, like it's on pre-order. I think it comes out the 5th or 6th of November, so it'll be out by the time these episodes air. So
I know you put.
I'll be reading it, because I put an order in already. Yep. So we're going to start off our 2 Yes More, 1 No Way, and we're doing what, Joe?
Travel edition, Ron.
Oh, travel.
Here we go.
All right. All right, so travel destinations. Do you want to start? You want me to start?
I'll start.
All right.
This is a favorite of mine. Not that I get to travel often,
right?
But I do. Besides the flying, I like getting out of my comfort zone and going to. I don't want to say different places because my top one is someplace that I've been to 3 times, and it's Costa Rica.
Okay.
It's not too bad of a plane ride. You usually get right in there, and. My only problem with going to Costa Rica is not having enough time. I've been there for 2-week stretches. I've been there for 3-week stretches.
And still wasn't enough time?
Towards the end of 3 weeks, we were moving around a lot.
Okay.
I got a little homesick.
Okay.
There's certain things that you get accustomed to, and I'm not a big fan of living on the road. Right. And living out of a backpack. Yep. It's really fun, but I do enjoy the comforts of home.
Yeah, sleeping in your own bed, right?
Well, and that's not that I'm huge, but being 6 foot, I'm kind of big as far as their standards go. Right. So there isn't a bed I could ever fit in, and my feet are hanging off over it, so you never really get a good sleep. There's the howler monkeys are up early in the morning, and it's almost like your first morning, you might think there's a lion outside your door. It's pretty, it's interesting because we do talk about, getting married. I'm like, well, if we ever did it, wouldn't it be cool to do it in Costa Rica? And my mom's like, I would never go that way, because she wouldn't, when she hears the stories about the bugs and you get up in the middle of the night and you can't have your flip-flops on the floor and you got to watch on the floor and you got to have a flashlight by your bed. It's fun. And they have hotels down there, and they're nice hotels, but they're the same problems in the hotels. Right. So that's my number one. Okay. I could do a whole podcast show on that. On Ron.
Costa Rica.
Oh yeah, most definitely. My second one is kind of polar opposite. Going to British Columbia. Okay. And Whistler and Blackcomb, 2 huge mountains out there. Right. One of them is a glacier. For snowboarding and. Next to Costa Rica, that was probably my second greatest trip of all time. Okay. We were able to stay in a suite, and we stayed right at the bottom of both mountains.
Wow, nice.
And it was just, it was I think when I think of skiing, that's what I think of. Okay. It's, you come out of the hotel and there's 2 huge lifts and they're gondolas and the rides are like 30 minutes just to get to the middle of the mountain, and then you take another 15 minute ride to the top of the mountain. It takes you all day
to ski down,
just to get down. That was and I didn't think I was going to enjoy myself, but I didn't think that would be a top all-time trip in my life, and maybe that was the best part, going in with no expectations, and it was I talk now. It's probably been 20 years since we went, and it's been too long. And I'm, the wheels are turning. There's a lot of places I want to go. So, how can we fit that back in there?
So both of them, really, Costa Rica is surfing.
Yes.
And then British Columbia is snowboarding. Okay,
right.
So both revolve around that.
And that's it. Like if I go on vacation, I like coming back from vacation and needing a day or 2 to rest. Right. Because I don't want to go out and just lay around.
Right. Lay on the beach.
I want to do something that I can really enjoy, and the people we're going with are they're into the same thing. Right. So like-minded people. Yep. And eating out in Costa Rica is awesome because you might not be cooking it, but it's fresh ingredients. Right. And Whistler was just, it was pricey, but it was good food and good establishments, and it was
cool, like nightlife and all.
Well, when you're getting up early in the morning, and
you're not doing.
Not that I say, there was times we were out with people and they were falling asleep at the not being a huge drinker, I wasn't really partaking in the alcohol, but people were, and they're falling asleep at the bar. And this was in our 20s, so people are writing on them. And
yeah, bad things happen when you fall asleep.
Out in public at the bar with beer in front of like it was just not everyone made the smartest decisions back then. So yeah, I was sleeping, man. But so my one no way, and I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, I could take it like I can see maybe going there.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's one of my top travel destinations.
Yeah, I've never had the inkling, and
I've never been there.
I've had friends that have gone, and people that have planned the trips, and family members, and
I'm not a big gambler.
Well, and that's what I always say, and they say there's more to do there than just gamble.
Right.
But got no interest in Vegas.
Okay. Yeah.
So what about you?
So I kind of went one travel destination that I've been and one that I want to go to. So one that I want to go to is, and I've wanted to go, honestly, like for as long as I can remember, probably into my teens, is Thailand.
Really?
Like there's something just about Thailand that I
culture?
Food, love Thai food.
Okay.
Practicing Zen and Buddhism and all that. Like, it's a big Buddhist country.
Okay. They have a connection.
Yeah, and have always been interested in like Thai kickboxing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So watching that, just visiting, riding around on the tuk-tuks.
The boats.
Well, no, the little cabs. You know what I mean? But it's like a 3-wheel.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, also the boats through the rivers and stuff like that. So that's one where I'd like to go. That's my bucket list. One of my bucket lists.
What's the travel time out there? Is that kind of like Australia where it's 18 hours or maybe even a full day of travel?
Yeah, it's a long trip. Which that flying is not my biggest thing. Being 6'2", 250 pounds.
Right.
I don't fit well in a seat.
You don't fit well in coach, Ron?
Yeah, no, coach is not the thing. But so that's one that I'd like to visit at some point. And my second is one that I do often, is New England.
Okay.
Love going to New England.
Yep.
I'm not talking like cities like Boston or something like that. I like, Bar Harbor, Maine, Booth Bay Harbor, Maine, Cape Cod, kind of relaxing, but you can do things, you can hike through Acadia and Bar Harbor. You can, going out on boats and, being close to the water, that's my thing.
Ron, like when I think of Maine, I think just outdoors.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, crazy hiking and fishing. I mean, like there are times where we've gone and, sat on like Adirondack chairs, just kind of watching the lobster boats coming in,
right.
What I mean?
It's relaxing.
Yeah. And we've done car trips there as well as we've done 2 cruises.
Oh, really?
There.
Out of Newark?
Out of Newark. Yeah. So, or Cape Liberty, Newark. Yeah. And it's great because it goes up, it does hit Boston, hits Rhode Island and some of the cool, like, in Rhode Island, you have some of the mansions of like the Rockefellers and those kind of people.
We took a surf trip to Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it hits, Bar Harbor and then goes up into Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Which
gotta be cool lighthouses along the way.
Yeah. Lighthouses. I mean, it's just different, culture. I mean, it's not huge different culture, but I mean, there's differences.
Scene.
Yeah. It's a different scene. And my one no way kind of, like what you were saying with Vegas is like any kind of big city. Like I have no pull to go to New York City and hang out, or Chicago, or, it's just, I mean, maybe it's because I grew up in Philadelphia, went to high school in Center City, went to college in Center City, Philadelphia.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, I've seen it. Now I'm out living in the woods on a dirt road. That's kind of my thing.
Right.
Yeah. The hustle and bustle. Like I don't want the hustle and bustle.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the city.
And it's not that I'm, some people are nervous about being in the city. I'm not nervous. Like I don't mind being in the city. I'm very street aware and, very wise to that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't want to have to be,
right.
on my toes and
yeah.
So, those are my 2, but, and like I said, that's my one no way.
Cool.
All right, so getting into Rewire Part 2. I know that I didn't get to go to second day, but I do have one session that I went to day one to talk about. But I know you had some, extra sessions that you went to.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about two, but let's start with your one.
All right, so first one, it was David Jakes,
okay.
And he talked about design thinking. And, we kind of went over the just kind of some samples of design thinking. So they went over the MRI redesign, which is a pretty big one.
Is that with see, because I didn't get to see him.
Yeah. So basically, there's a TED talk on a guy who designed this state-of-the-art MRI machine, and he was super proud. It won all kinds of awards, and he went to go see it being used at it was a children's hospital, I believe. And this was his life's work, this MRI machine, and he was so excited about it. And he gets there, and he sees a child and parents coming down the hallway. This child has to get a scan, and the child's crying. The parents are upset, and he kind of takes a step back and is like, "This is my life's work. I'm so happy about it, but look at this kid." And then he kind of stands behind them as they're in the room with the MRI before they go in, and there's a big window, and you're watching this machine, and he realizes from looking from like the child's perspective of standing behind the family that the room is cold. It's uninviting. There's this huge scary machine that makes a ton of noise, and this child is terrified, and some of these kids have to have scans often. So it's this terrifying experience, and he kind of realizes, like, man, I'm super excited about this machine, and it's terrifying for the people who need to use it. So it gave him a perspective of looking at it from the user, right?
Yep.
Having that empathy.
That's awesome.
And he went back, and I guess they worked to redesign it. And what they've done is they've made it almost like an adventure. So before a child gets a scan, they get a storybook to read about this adventure they're going on. The room for this one is painted in a pirate theme. So there's planks and the MRI machine is looks like a pirate ship. So the kid lays on, and if you stay real still, the dolphins come out to jump around. So it teaches the kids to stay still, and it just makes it an enjoyable experience. And kind of at the end, kids have said, I want to go back. So like, here's this machine that they need to go on.
So using design thinking
to just,
it improved everyone else's lives.
And it doesn't, and it kind of reminds me, like, when you're designing it doesn't have to be a thing. It can be just an experience. So like that, they didn't really redesign the machine. The machine was the machine. The experience of getting it was what changed. So that was one of the cool things. And I think the one thing I took out of it is that I guess I've kind of missed in the past, but they talk about design thinking being biased towards action. And I don't think I understood what that was. And what it means is you want to create some rapid prototypes so that you can get feedback quickly and get your redesigns done. So it's biased towards action, like get things done. Don't him and haw about it. Don't, is this the best? Is it not?
I was going to go in towards the flip grid hunt first. But when you say like the bias towards action, one of the things I took from the Teched Up teacher, if you're going to fail fast.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the bias towards action. Yep.
Figure out what doesn't work quickly so you can get to
what does work.
Yeah.
Or at least a redesign so that you can get to what does work.
And I guess that's, when we talk about design thinking, I guess we talk about the process, and maybe we don't get to with students when we're trying to wrap it around curriculum. Maybe we don't get to jump right back in there and say, okay, well, let's try and make another one, like so. But if we could start in the younger grades with the ideas like empathy and not just sympathizing, but saying, oh man, that does stink. Let me see what I can do to make it better for you.
Right.
And then just thinking and collaborating and then working, and then to me the fun part is always the building,
and the making,
but the process along the way when we first threw the teacher nerd sheets out and at teaching 8 and 9-year-old students, and the first one was all about fairy tales. So to see them sit there and intently watch these fairy tales that they know they've seen,
they know,
but
back and forth.
Now they're interested in it, and
that's the lens, right? You're looking at it from a different lens at that point. You know the story,
right. It's not, you're not sitting there with popcorn and your blanket, you know, and your favorite stuffed animal. Yeah, but it was great to see that, you know, pencils are in hand and they're stopping the video and they're writing things down, and you know the collaboration is hard because when we do it in math, you know, it's hard for them to collaborate on a math problem. And I'm not saying kids don't do it, but one kid will do it and the other kid just, you know, it's not always perfect. Now they're, you know, they have ideas. They're talking to people about their characters, about this, and it's that process and trying to change their mindset and, you know, their thinking. You know, you're struggling with something, you don't give up.
But I think that's the one thing, like you said, we miss in school a lot, is that ability to iterate your design, right? Like this doesn't work, let me go back and make it, because it's, you know, time is a constraint for us, right? So and that's not finish the design.
You know, that's not the only thing we, you know, I have them all day, yes, but I'm trying to go through 7 different subjects all day. You have them for 40 some odd days, right?
And 42 minutes.
And so that's, you know, those are those constraints, and there's a lot that we have to get done, but you can weave it into the curriculum. You know, one of the things we got from the Tech Up teacher was that 1-point rubric, you know, and those, it was great. And the more I started thinking about it, you know, I tie it into the curriculum. So when we did our last project for the creepy character, Peter Brown, you know, the kids read the book first and listened to read alouds, and it helped us to figure out where our thinking was, and we were working with thinking STEM. So you know, right now I'm like, oh, hey, look at that, there's a reading grade, because we did one as a class, we did one conferencing with some kids that needed a little bit of help. Eventually everyone did it on their own, bang, there's a reading grade. You know, then we were also working with mental images, so we podcasted it. They went back with sticky notes, took down some details that they heard. Then, threw out some sketches. Hey, there's another reading grade on a skill that we've been using in reading.
So you just you have to be creative of figuring out how you can connect grades to, you know, if you have to be grading.
We have a health class. There's health standards. Empathy falls under that umbrella. Hey, what kind of, you know, empathy did you build for this character? Oh, that's great. What do they need? What are you gonna, and you make it, you know, you make it work because it's worthwhile material.
And I mean, I'm lucky this year because we did move to 3 marking periods, so my marking periods are longer. I might have now like 60 days. So I do have classes now that I have the ability to do a redesign, which is awesome, because that, I think, is, most projects in school are, you do the project, you hand it in, done. Here it's, you do the project, let's look at what could be better in the project, now go back and redesign it. And a lot of kids initially will fight you on that because the project's done. And I think it's a skill.
Because have they ever had to do that before? Or have they ever had the opportunity to do that before?
And it's probably a little bit of both. Never had the opportunity and never had to, you know, so.
I know a teacher that doesn't teach in this district. He's my brother-in-law, and he was upset because his district mandated if a kid fails a test, they have to be able to come up and take it again if they desire. And he was upset because he's like, you know, they took it once, and, you know, life isn't full of retakes, which, you know, there are some things you can do over again. But you know what? If I don't get it now and I get it later, what's the difference?
Exactly.
And
what are you assessing? Did they learn it? And if they had to fail it once to realize, like, oh, I don't think I knew it that much, and went back and worked a little harder, shouldn't they get a grade?
And I know there's questions on, or debate on, whether or not those test scores should be averaged, or if the first test score should be dropped, because now I took it again and this is a score I got now. It might have been a week later, it might have been 2. And, you know, his argument is, well, now it's more work for me. And I mean, you know, he teaches high school, so it's a whole different animal. And I understand, and he doesn't necessarily have the resources that we have. But I'm like, so just give him the same test again, you know. But sometimes, you know what, Ron, like when I'm in the thick of it, you know, and this is the way we do it in class, like, I understand. I don't want to say I understand his point of view, but I respect his point of view, and you know, you can have those conversations. You know, the Tech Up teacher was great because,
and that's Chris Aviles.
Chris Aviles, yep. And he starts it off with, you know, guys, I'm just going to sit here and brag about what the kids have done, and you know what he creates, and their clubs make money.
Right.
And their esports clubs make money, and the kids were, you know, and that was one of the questions. What, you know, how can this student-led club make money? You know, how does that work? I guess legally.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
And whatever money the club makes, if it's in school or within a school event, the money goes to the club, and they use it to buy supplies and basically fund the club.
And that's kind of what our entrepreneur club does here.
And so there's the gaming club, and the gaming club set up something outside of school on Friday nights for 4 Friday nights in a row, with a pizza place.
Right. I saw that, like a tournament, right?
A tournament, and the kids, you know, they partnered with the pizza place, and they had, I think, 80 kids, they said, almost every Friday night, eating pizza, drinking soda, playing Fortnite. The kids split the profits with the pizza place.
And it was outside of school, so the kids get it, right?
He said the kids walked away with $1,500 each for 4 nights' work over the course of a month. Now, granted, there was probably some legwork setting things up, and most definitely, but these kids are in middle school.
Right, not too bad.
So to get that experience, now the one thing I think it was Jay Billy asked, hey, what happens in the high school? Like, does the high school continue your program? And he just smiled and said they do not.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess on one hand that does stink.
Yeah.
You know, because if that continued to be fostered, imagine what would happen.
Right.
But you know what? At least the mindset is there in these kids.
Right. You created an entrepreneurial mindset.
And that will get them through high school and much more, because that's it. Are you trying to set them up for success for 4th grade or 5th grade or 6th grade or for life? Right. You know, school's a game. These kids are going to be able to play the game.
Right. Well, and you fostered that entrepreneurial mindset. So I'm in high school and I don't have that. There's going to be a hunger in me to do that. So I'm going to do it on my own.
And that was cool. He said, you know, the kids are doing things outside of school. Right. So even if the high school doesn't foster it, it's in the kids. Right. And if they want to do it and if they want to continue it, you know, that drive's been instilled. And you know, he said he's a resource for everyone. So after the session, you know, I emailed him. I said, yo, can you know, what was up with that 1-point rubric? And send us the copy, you know, and it was just great to see the ideas. Right. You know, and to try and tweak it a little bit to fit what we need to do. But when you're able to pull grades from other places, you know, you can definitely grade that process. But, you know, that's it. What are you grading? You know, are they trying? And there is a spot on our report card that talks about work skills. So it is nice to have multiple areas to pull from. It was a great session. Where did it just go? Okay, there we go. So like failing fast, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and getting that out of the way. And then the other cool thing, it really didn't even have to deal with, you know, any of the cool projects he was doing. He talked about how to get into contact with people. Okay. Because that's big, you know, in order to get some things to happen. So I think he called it carpet emailing or maybe blanket emailing. You know, you send someone in the organization an email. They don't respond, you send it again. Right. And then you start to add, hey, can you help me do this? If not, can you put me in touch with someone that can? And, you know, people get tired of looking at your email. Eventually they'll forward it on to something else and things happen. So that was a really good session. And, you know, we talked a lot about the esports and the e-gaming, and it kind of got me going, like, do I want to try and bring that something in here? You know, like these kids are all playing, whether it's Fortnite or and I guess Fortnite has kind of tailed off now, but
there are other ones. Yeah, I mean,
they're playing things, and you know, so whether or not you do it school 2, whether or not you do it school 3, it was definitely something to think about. And then like the fact that the things he's doing is the stuff we're doing in class. Right. So that's like, you know, reassuring to see, you know, we're doing good things, but then now maybe we have to try and take it to a grander scale. Right. You know, based off what Dr. Williams was saying, you know, like how can you take it now globally?
Right. And have an impact.
Right. On things outside of, I guess, yourself. Right. You know, thinking.
And that, again, comes back to Twitter helps, right? Like just putting your stuff out there, tagging someone, putting a hashtag.
You know, we have a student in class. He was for a Spark project wanted to research fancy cars. So like, go for it, man. And he has a Tesla at home, where his father does, and he likes nice cars. So he researched. He did. Right now, he's focusing on prices. So he put together a website that's got about 12 different cars, and it focuses on the prices of each car.
Okay.
We put it up in our Spark classroom, and next thing you know, he's got like 20 some odd comments. Hey, and we use the tag system. Tell him something you like, ask him a question about it, and then give him a suggestion. So from 2 suggestions now, one was, yo, you should use WeVideo, hashtag @WeVideo, to maybe put a video in your website.
Okay.
And then someone else said, hey, maybe you should try and interview someone from, so I saw that and I said, why don't we try and hook you up with Elon Musk? And then he just started giggling. I said, you know who Elon Musk is? And he's like, the Tesla guy, the Tesla guy. You know, it was just cool. And he goes, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just start with the video. I'm like, no problem. But how many times does Don Wettrick on Twitter say, hey, whoever? And I'm not saying we're Don Wettrick, but you know what? Why can't we throw it out there?
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean,
or hey, @BMW, hey, @Lamborghini.
Or how about @FC Kerbeck up in Palmyra, right? They have all the Rolls Royce, the Bentleys, the Lamborghinis, the Porsches, right? Like they're a luxury car dealer right here in New Jersey.
And
right on 73.
Okay, so that must be the one I'm thinking of.
By the Tacony Palmyra Bridge.
So that's not 73.
Yeah, 73.
That is 73.
Yeah, it goes to the Tacony Palmyra Bridge.
Yeah,
FC Kerbeck. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd have a salesman reach out.
And that's it. Like, are we going to get Elon Musk? No, but you know what? He might be able to talk to someone and get information. And you know what? If that's what he's into, and 3rd grade, if that's what his passion is, and now he's creating videos and websites, I mean...
And you're learning how to contact and interview people. And
so the last thing I would throw out there is anyone hiring? Because this
He'll sell for you. Yeah.
So that was a phenomenal session. Another really great session was Kathy. Now I'm going to mangle her last name, Krasnowski.
Okay.
On the she's a Flipgrid ambassador, and specifically she did something on flip hunts.
Okay, and she created flip hunts, right? Like
that was her thing. Yeah. I forget what she went to, and not an expo. The Flipgrid. I don't know. She put in and said, "Yo, this is my idea," and they loved it. So
okay.
So I believe that's how she became a Flipgrid ambassador, maybe.
All right.
I don't know her backstory, but the flip hunt is her brainchild.
All right, so I don't even know what a flip hunt is. So
you're using Flipgrid, and there's basically tasks that the kids are supposed to go out there and record them doing these tasks. And she says, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be silly, and it's supposed to be engaging.
Okay.
So first off, I'm thinking, you know what? We're doing weather in school. So maybe a flip hunt, I need a video for severe weather. I need a video for nice weather. I need a video that's going to use these 3 terms. Let's say wind speed, let's say temperature, and let's say precipitation.
Okay.
So that's the list, and they have to complete this list. It's a scavenger hunt.
Okay. And so is it all in one video? So like they pause the video, do something, or do they do multiple videos?
It could be both.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, we're doing weather. So could I have a video of a nice day, and then could they pause it and save that video? But I think what they would have to do is collect everything in WeVideo, make it in
upload.
And Flipgrid has linked with WeVideo because it is very easy.
Yep.
And I started thinking, I don't know how could we do it in school? It's with the Chromebooks, and it's a little bit harder, but. But what we've been doing is we've been opening up Flipgrid for homework.
Okay.
So the kids have been doing things at home, and when you have the iPads, when they have their devices, it's a lot. It's a lot easier to, record someone doing somersaults and saying they're making a sphere. It's stuff like that. And it was great, and it's using Flipgrid, and the kids are doing weather reports now, and it's I'm excited because once we get into motion and pushes and pulls, we'll be able to get, show me an example of a push. So, complete this list. And when we work with our science notebook, as far as a rubric and grading, there's extra credit. And the extra credit is, did you use Flipgrid to extend your learning at all at home? So it's just a fun way to bring student engagement into, and using terms from the class in their everyday life.
So you're pulling that vocabulary, that, specific vocabulary into everyday kind of life then at that point.
Outside of the classroom.
Yeah.
And, the one thing she did say, don't make it on a worksheet. Find me a simile. Make it fun, make it engaging. One of the things you could check off on her flip hunt was singing a song about Flipgrid over the PA system.
Oh, so I was in David Jake's and somebody was singing something over the PA.
Okay,
yeah, Jingle Bells. Yeah,
the Jingle Bells tune, or they were singing Jingle Bells, and I was working with 2 other teachers. I believe they were from maybe North Jersey, and we stopped and we're like, oh man, look at them! Like what guts? Because first
that's
off,
a tough one. Yeah,
and they had to go into the office people and
say, can I get on the PA?
Right. I mean, that was cool. So not that I got a lot out of it, but I got ideas. I learned what a flip hunt is, and she's really great. And
she's posting on Twitter all the time.
There's all kinds of ideas, and she's very active. She responds to you.
I was just thinking like math. And when you're talking about like learning geometry and shapes, you do a flip hunt. Go find these shapes in school.
Go
around the hallways and find me a triangle. Find me
a right angle.
Right.
Find me an obtuse angle.
Yeah.
Find me an acute angle. Right. Or even with math. How about make me a video explaining, in the middle school, don't they talk, is Pythagorean theorem? Yeah, and not being a math guy, I don't know how they do it up there. My son's in 8th grade math and the stuff they're learning. But so you have, and he's having such a hard time because all they're talking about is, rote routines, do it over again, do it, you got to practice, to make it, and I know, not being a math guy, if you're not making it fun, if you're not making it exciting,
it would kill me.
It's tough. So do I know how to do it at the middle school? No, but I know how to do it, with the stuff that we're doing. You look at Khan Academy, right? And not that you would want to sit there and make not that Khan Academy videos are boring, but how can you give me a video on using the break apart strategy and splice it up with this whiteboard, some of these markers, and your personality?
Right. Or maybe I do a song about the steps, right? So you know what I mean? Create a jingle, right? Everybody has had jingles stuck in their head from a commercial or something. Make me a jingle for a strategy.
Or even, in 2nd grade when we started talking, and I teach 3rd grade, so as we were talking about, was it the cardinal directions? No, the continents. Someone was like, oh, remember the continent song from such and such class? So, especially when you're doing the younger kids, these fun activities is a way to get them in and get them engaged and get them talking and get them moving in class. And
songs, hand motions that go with songs, things like that, right? That are the things that stick in your head.
And what's cool when Flipgrid videos happen, you get your email and I like to comment back. And the kids because we do with the whole brain teaching the gestures in class.
Right.
So when they're talking about the precipitation falling from their sky, they're not necessarily jazz hands. I don't know what
but you're doing some kind of,
they're doing gestures with their hands to mirror the precipitation falling down. It's just really, I don't want to say it's cute and adorable, but it is cute and adorable because these little kids, they're using terms like meteorologist, and degrees Fahrenheit. And, when they say, when they try and talk about synonyms and antonyms, them saying the word synonym, oh man, it's hilarious. But they're 8 years old and
they're using the vocabulary
and they're learning how to use it, right? When to kick it back to our homework episode, like you give meaningful homework. You don't give a worksheet.
And just because it's on the computer doesn't mean it's still not a worksheet.
Right. Engaging, exciting, relevant. Should have all 3.
Yeah.
So that's
so I guess the takeaway is if you have an opportunity, get yourself to Rewire. If you're somewhere in the country, see if you can get yourself to Rewire.
Or just some of those types of conferences.
Right.
Get out there and see what other people are doing. Right. And there's ed camps. There's an ed camp coming up. I think it's
November 23rd.
I think it's November 23rd. I saw something today. It's like a month away. So I guess this might come out.
This will come out just about after that.
After that. Okay. So so I'm sure there's other ones coming up. I think the SPED camp is a little bit after that.
Yep. There are a lot of
great opportunities.
Ed camps and the one thing again that we have to say about Rewire, it was free. Free and these
learning.
people volunteered their time.
Free food, national presenters.
Yeah.
Disrupted TV was there.
Yep.
Didn't get the opportunity to go and see them, but
right.
You don't necessarily have to sit in the session because during the free lunches, they're, an hour and 15 minutes to sit around and talk to people and exchange ideas.
Exactly.
awesome experience.
Yeah, so big shout out to Glenn Robbins for getting that all together and taking the time to do that.
And taking the time to talk to us before it even happened.
Right, exactly.
Was it a week before?
Oh, it was probably a month or so before. Yeah, I mean, it was a while before. Because it was the beginning of September, because it was just around when school was starting.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. End of August. Yep.
Beginning of September. Right. Yeah. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So just about wraps up the episode. Once again, I'm Ron Nober.
I'm Joe DiPaolo.
And we are the Teacher Nerds. And Joe, that's Nerds with a
Z, Ron.
That's Nerds with a Z. So check us out on teachernerds.com. Check out the Teacher Nerds store on teachernerds.com.
Sweet swag.
Cool stuff. Check out on Twitter, we're at Teacher Nerds. On Instagram,
Teacher Nerds Podcast.
All right. So we'll see you next time. Bye.